Hey everybody, how are you today? Welcome to our Matt Connect webinar today. We're going back to school today. I'm going to go back to school with Matt Connect. Pleasure to have you with us. Let's get started. So we have two presenters today. Eric Beauchamp, Director of Product Management for HumanWare, who has done all of our Matt Connect webinars for us. And back with us once again is Roger Steinberg, Product Manager, Low Vision Products for HumanWare. Going to be assisting Eric with this webinar again today. Thank you for joining us, Roger.
Thank you.
Let's talk about some challenges that you might face, things you might have to deal with. A new school, it's going to require teachers and students to get used to new technology. So obviously getting used to new technology, that can be difficult. Maybe you've dealt with something similar to a Matt Connect, maybe you haven't. So we're going to try to help you get used to it today. Teachers need to set up old and pre-used Matt Connects for their students. And
still with us, Paul?
Yep, we'll save that question. That question was coming through and I was hearing it. So we'll save that question and get to that. I'll make sure we get there. Setting up peripheral devices like the keyboard and the distance camera can be difficult in a school setting. And the Matt Connect, it's going to need to be reconnected to school networks after a year of distance learning. So that is definitely a challenge. Let's get through our learning objectives. So we're going to learn how to set up a Matt Connect for new users. We'll also talk about how it's going to be for whether it's an old Matt Connect or a new one. Learn how to reset the Matt Connect to factory default settings. Understand how to set up the APH Toolbox applications on the Matt Connect. And finally, describe how to pair the distance camera and connect the Matt Connect to internet or a school network. There can definitely be some tricky stuff there to have to deal with.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I'm happy and I'm very proud to be here again today. I love doing these webinars. I'm already seeing a lot of questions in the chat. When it's going to be something a bit more difficult and out of the scope, I will take it offline and I will write an email to you as soon as I can, or Roger, who is the product manager for low vision devices now. But I'll try to answer as much as the questions that are coming in. And I love having all those questions coming in because that means that there is an interest and you guys want to use the product and need help. So I'm here for that. And that's why we're having these webinars. This webinar, I think, is a very important webinar. It's the beginning of the year. What you want to do with the Matt Connect, either it's a new one, out of the box, usually out of the box, very simple to use. Everything is set up for you already. So you just need to turn it on and you're ready to go for the student. For a returning student, or if you're passing or sharing a Matt Connect in the classroom or in the school, I'll show you a procedure on how to reset to your factory default your Matt Connect. And also, I'm going to show you a new feature that was just introduced with the latest update of the Prodigy software, which is how to create a user profile. And that will help you a lot in the future for sharing the Matt Connect. So Roger, please keep note of all the questions. And if I can answer right away, please interrupt me and we'll answer the questions. And the more difficult ones, we can address a bit later. Okay.
Yes, sir. No problem.
I saw a question on the Wi-Fi. That's one example that I'd like to take offline. The Wi-Fi is a particular situation. There is a procedure or certain things that you should or should not do when connecting to a Wi-Fi, and especially the channels that you need to work with the IT department to limit what channels are going to be connected to the Matt Connect. And this is just because the technology moves a lot faster in the Wi-Fi than in the devices that the Android devices. And if you do need help on connecting, please call the support at HumanWare. They'll be happy to share that information with you and help you out on those questions. But let's jump in right away in setting up your device for a new school year. So I'm going to change my camera here like I do usually. and you're going to see my Mat Connect. Oh, I'm going to turn off my virtual background here because it's affecting my camera. There we go. Perfect. So right now I am in the Prodigy software, and this would be the setup. The student would have been using it for the last school year, and you would like to reset it to factory default before passing it on to a new student. So what you want to do, the really first and most important thing or step to do before resetting your tablet, and I can't highlight that word again, it's the most important step, or else you're going to run into problems, which I'm going to show you, is to go in Android. So 5-finger or 4-finger press and hold on the Prodigy software. And then you'll end up in the Android. You can't really see that, right? But I'll describe it more. So you end up in the Android desktop. And at the bottom center, there is a circle with a white circle with 6 black dots. So like I was saying, what you want to do, the first step, the most important step, is to go into the Android desktop and tap on the white circle with black dots right in the middle, at the bottom middle of the screen. This will bring you to another screen with the list of applications that are installed on the device. What you want to do here is to find your settings icon, which these are all alphabetically classified or ordered, and you tap on settings. In the settings menu, you will scroll down, and what we want to look for is account, and that's going to be in the personal section in the settings. So in there, you're going to find an account. Well, it's going to an option for accounts. So tap on accounts. And here, this is all the accounts that the student or the teacher or yourself put in and associated to the device. The most important one to remove before doing a factory default is the Google account, the Gmail account that was associated to this tablet, to the Android system. If you do not, you can still do the factory reset, but you need to remember the password of that Google account, because it's going to be asked once you reboot the tablet, and the settings will be reset. This is a security measure. If ever the tablet is stolen, then somebody cannot just reset your tablet without having your Google account. So please remove that Google account. That would be the most important step and the first step to do. So to do that, again, go into Android, go into your Windows with all the applications, select settings, accounts, and then on the top here I have Google. So I'm going to tap on Google. This is the details of my account, and what you want to do on the top right corner, there's 3 dots, like an icon with 3 dots, one above the other. So just tap on that, and there's going to be a little pop-up that's going to show up, and you're going to tap on remove account. And again, remove account on the pop-up that shows. This is going to remove the account on the tablet. It will not delete all your data that has been synchronized to the cloud, or all your password or your pictures or whatever. It's only going to remove the account on the tablet, the physical tablet. So once you've done that, we are ready to reset the tablet to default, to factory default. Be sure to be charged. The tablet has to be charged, would go above 50%, or you can plug it into the wall. Also, that works fine, but have it charged completely. That would be best. Once we've removed the account, we can use the back button, which is the arrow at the bottom here. There's a little status bar at the bottom, and on the left-hand side, there is an arrow pointing on the left. Just tap on that to go back into my settings. If you can't find the back button, you can just hit the home button, which is the button in the middle, and then just repeat the steps that we did to find the accounts and remove the account. So once I'm in the settings, again, in the personal section of the settings, you have an option of backup and reset. So tap on that. And here at the bottom of the options, there is one option called factory data reset. So I'm going to tap on that. And there's going to be a pop-up that warns you that it's going to erase everything that is on the tablet. Are you sure to do it? You say yes. You say reset tablet, and erased everything. So what this is going to do, it's going to reboot your tablet in a special mode. It's going to put it into a recovery mode, and the Android system will erase everything. It's like a formatting of the whole thing, and then it's going to reset everything to factory default. So while we're waiting, I think we have one first poll, or maybe, I don't know if there's questions that came in that are related to what we've talked about right now.
So sure, we can go ahead and set this poll up, which will give people time to ask questions, and we can also do both. So if you're ready to push that poll out. All right. So we want to know what's the first step in resetting the Mac Connect to factory default? What's the first step? Is it select factory reset in the settings menu? Is it remove the Google account from the Mac Connect, unpair the distance camera, or add an Outlook email account? Which one of those is the very first step you have to take if you're going to reset your Mac Connect to factory defaults? I know some questions have come in.
Mm-hmm. While that's being, folks are doing that poll, Eric, maybe you can address this one. Ben King asks, can the Mac Connect be used by a person who is blind?
It can. It's a bit harder because it's a touchscreen. I find that blind people using a touchscreen is a bit harder, but you can activate the accessibility features in Android called TalkBack. That's kind of like the screen reader. It's a screen reader for Android, and that will read out everything that is on the screen. And there's a simple gestures or swipe that you can move to the options in the screen, and it's going to read it out to you. You can use TalkBack in Prodigy also, but if you don't want to use all the features in Android, but just want to use Prodigy, I can show you, I'll show you once we reset the tablet, I'll show you how to activate the audio, and it will read out all the menus in Prodigy. And if you're sticking into Prodigy and not going into the Android part of things, you can forget about TalkBack and just use the audio or the accessibility features in Prodigy. But if you need the Android system or other apps, it would be good to activate TalkBack.
And one other one that I think you can answer very quickly is the out-of-box. We have Missy has a brand new out-of-box, and it looks different from what you're looking at. So I think at some point yours is going to look very much like it just came out of the box.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I see that we have the polls in.
Yeah, so the question was, what is the first step in resetting the Mac Connect to factory defaults? 19% of you said set factory reset in the settings menu, or select, excuse me. 77% of you said remove the Google account from the Mac Connect. And one of you said unpair the distance camera. So Eric, what's the correct answer?
Well, the correct answer is to remove your Google account. Like I said, it's the most important step. You don't have to do it if you don't remember, if you remember your password, but most of the time the calls that I get is that I resetted my tablet, don't remember the password of my Google account. What do I do? Unfortunately, you're gonna have to send it back to HumanWare because that's a physical reset. So we have to open the tablet, and there's 2 pins inside that we need to short in order to forget or clear the memory on that Google account. So that's the most important. I can't stress it out. Most important step is to remove that Google account. And that goes for any Android device. Google has done that as a security measure. So if you have a phone or a tablet, it's not only on the Mac Connect, but on every Android devices out there. Okay. So as you can see on the screen, we have resetted the tablet, and then the tablet rebooted and they erased everything. And I'm in the Android or the Google tutorial, and that's a startup tutorial, and that's what we have to go through at the beginning. So here, the first question, and the first question is to select where I am. So English, United States, or wherever in the world. I'm in Canada. I could select Canada, but here for this webinar, I'll select United States. Hit the yellow arrow to go to the next step. Did my screen just shut off here? The next step is to connect yourself to a Wi-Fi. You don't have to do it right away, but it would be useful to do it now, because then what it's going to do, the tablet, the next step is going to be to update all your apps, and you'll be able to download also the Prodigy software. So here I am just going to switch off my camera because I'm going to log into my Wi-Fi so you don't see my password. So just bear with me. So here I am just logging into my Wi-Fi, or connecting to my Wi-Fi. Once you've connected, there's going to be another Google screen, and then there's going to be a pop-up of Prodigy saying you want to update. Press cancel on this window. We'll do it after. So I'm just going to press cancel on this for now and continue with the Google wizard. So right now, if I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, it's going to check for all the other updates at the same time I'm setting up my tablet. You can sync a Google account from another device if you want, or everything else. I'm going to say no thanks for this webinar for this purpose, and I'm going to hit the next button at the bottom. So basically, this again is the same. It's the same tutorial, the same wizard for any Android devices. And here, this is where the next step is where you enter your Gmail account that you want to associate with this tablet. So I'm going to enter mine here. So you enter your Google Gmail account. And then you press next. The next step is going to be your password. So I'm going to just turn off my camera again, just so that I can enter my password here. And once you're connected to your Google account, so I set up a second step verification. So hold on just a sec. So this is very good practice. The two steps verification is very important in these times of days with all the, I'm going to say, hacking and ransomwares and things like that. You always want to have multiple verification on all your accounts. This is very important. If somebody falls on your password and has your access to your password, well, they have access to all of your data, and you don't want that. So it's a good practice to have your multiple verification on your accounts, on any account.
Hey, Eric, this is a good time to ask this question. You just associated this tablet with your email account. Lucindy is asking, should I set up my student's Google account or my teacher account? So this is a good time for you to address that.
It all depends on how the student is going to be using it. Preferably, I would put a student account, because they'll be using most probably their Google Classroom account. So it's all going to be associated to that user. But once we're going to get to the end of this setup, and I'll show you adding a new user profile, I would say the inverse. So the admin would be the teacher's account, and then the new account or the new profile that we create will be your student's account. Okay, I hope that answers that question, but preferably, like I said, in these steps, it would be the student account. And then when I'm going to show you how to add a user profile, then associate the admin account to the teacher, or the one that's going to be responsible for the tablet. And then the new user will be the student account. Okay, so in here, it's all the agreements here. I usually turn these off and then press next. And then on the next step, it asks you if you want to associate another account. If you want to, there's a lot of possibilities here to associate an Outlook or a Hotmail, Yahoo, and our Exchange server on this tablet. For now, I'm just going to say not now. And then the next step is to protect your device. You can put a PIN, but be careful. If the student chooses the PIN, then ask him to share it with you so that when he gives the device back to the teacher, then you can have access to the tablet and reset it. So in this example, I'm just going to turn it off and skip that step. So we're pretty close to the end of this Google wizard, and you're brought to the default of the Android system here. Let me say, got it here. And right now, there's no Prodigy that was installed at all on the tablet. This is what it's going to look like. It's the standard Android 6 version of Google. And to install Prodigy, what we want to do, again, that the circle with the 6 black dots, which is going to bring you to the list of applications that are installed on your device. You click on it and then you select in the list Prodigy Updater. That's one way of doing this. Or if you want, you can just swipe your finger on the top of the screen and you'll have this menu that's going to appear. And one of the notification that you'll have in this menu is application update from Prodigy. So if you tap on that, it's going to open up my oh, see, it happens to the best. So let's try it my other way, Prodigy Updater. And once I press Prodigy Updater, you'll have a pop-up. Let me just get closer to here. And it's going to say, please allow Prodigy Updater to access your media file and device. You're going to say allow. And then you'll be brought to the same window that we canceled at the beginning of the tutorial. So just click install. And it's going to download the 6 applications of the Prodigy suite, and we'll install them on the device. So while this is going on, is there any question, Roger, that came in? If not,
let me see here. So we had another question about what if multiple students use the Matt Connect? That was from Eddie, and I let him know that you'll be covering profiles towards the end. And then Ben King asks, can the Matt Connect use LTE?
It cannot, unfortunately, no. You can, though, if you have a cell phone, share the internet connection from the cell phone to the Matt Connect. I'm just going to decrease my volume here. Is there any other questions that I can answer while this is going on?
There's a couple of, well, one is Mary Kelty asked right away, so I don't know if you'll get into this today, but she has a student that needs accessibility features turned on, but now he cannot get into Google Classrooms as it says to log in and enter there. He needs a screen lock turned on, but it won't turn on with accessibility turned on. She's a new TVI.
I can show you how to activate the talkback, and I can show you how to pause the talkback in order to maybe log in to the Google Classroom, or if there's an associated Gmail associated to it. I think it links automatically to the Gmail Google, to the Classroom. So I think, Roger, you're more able to answer the Google Classroom because I think you have more details on that. But I can show you how to activate and pause talkback if it would help solve that problem.
Right. Yeah, I think it's going to be just figuring out if there's some configurations between the two that need to be tweaked. And that may not be something we can address today live on the call. But and then our second question was, I am using a used Matt Connect with a student and having a lot of problems with it connecting. You already mentioned this to the Wi-Fi. So I did mention in the chat that you will be covering Wi-Fi connections during the webinar. And I think that we've been keeping up with the questions pretty well so far. So
okay. So then I'm just going to share my screen here. I'm going to show you something. All the steps that I'm showing you here can be downloaded. There is, if you go on the, Roger, can you confirm that you're seeing my screen?
I am.
Okay. So if you go to the HumanWare website, what you can do is go to the support page, and you'll have access to a procedure that's going to show you every step that I'm showing here in this tutorial. So if you go down the list here, and you will find Mat Connect, and you click on Mat Connect, and here we'll come back to this, but there is here tablet reset and installation procedure. It's the third link in the list in the Mat Connect support on the HumanWare page. That's a Word document. Download that, and all the steps are in here, and you can follow along. But also, before joining this webinar today, I found on the YouTube channel of APH and HumanWare the old webinars that we did two with the Mat Connect, how to reset the tablet. So one in July of 2020, I think the other one was in August in 2020. Those are the same things that we're covering today, but also APH will record this webinar and we'll post it up on their YouTube channel also. So these are resources that you can use. We'll come back to the web page because we got other stuff to install from it. But I just wanted to have a little intro on that. So let's go back. So I have installed my Prodigy applications. What you want to do again, go to the application list and find Prodigy in the list and tap on it. Oops. And once you've tapped on it and it booted up, you'll see you'll be brought to a menu to select your language that you want to install. So here, there's several languages that we offer the Mat Connect, but we're just going to choose here in English voice. I'm going to choose Heather, and I'm just going to choose one, but you have a choice of 4 voices that you can download and install on your Mat Connect. So once you've selected your voice that you want to install, on the top right corner of the screen, there's a little arrow, or I call it a paper airplane icon that you tap on, and that will download and install the voices on your Mat Connect. Once that's done, you'll see automatically there's going to be a download of the OCR package, and that's associated to that language, and we'll install it on the device also. Once that's all done, it's going to check the licensing, and basically we're all set to go. So bear with me here. But now it's extracting the OCR application. I think you'll be happy to see the other procedure of adding a new profile, how it's going to cut down on all the steps that you have to follow in order to reset for a new student. It's going to check for the license validation. And you're brought back to where we've started previously. So in the main carousel of Prodigy. So when you open up, or when you're unboxing your Mat Connect, and then starting your Mat Connect for the first time, you'll be brought to this screen. It should be set as a default application or your home application on your Mat Connect. If it's not, you will see a black screen. If I go back to my home, you'll see a black screen with some icons on there, and you will have Prodigy set because this is done in production. You'll have the Prodigy icon, which is also on the desktop. I call it a little Joy Boy. It's our icon for HumanWare, and right underneath it's written Prodigy. So if you're brought to this page, just tap on Prodigy. It's going to boot Prodigy, and you're all set to go. The next thing to do is to set up your distance camera, because the Mat Connect comes with a Wi-Fi camera. Let me just come back here. There we go. So a Kodak wireless camera. It's a 10x optical camera that connects Wi-Fi. And we need to pair this to the Mat Connect when we reset the tablet. And this is something that, yes, you'll do in a reset, but sometimes I have a lot of questions asking, well, the camera disconnected. I don't know why it lost the connection to my camera. And it's the same procedure in order to connect or pair the distance camera. So what you want to do is unscrew the distance camera from the gooseneck that comes with it. And if it's out of the box, this gooseneck will not be connected to the camera. And then there's a little door at the bottom that you can open. And it's written really, really small, but in here, there is the password that's there. And the password is very simple to memorize. You don't have to do this all the time to open up the door and check the password for every camera. But the password, mark it down. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And maybe we can paste that in the chat there, Roger, so that people can remember it. But it's the same password for any camera of any Mat Connect. What differs the camera to another camera is the name of the camera once connected. Sometimes what could happen with these cameras is that in the transport, maybe it was hit by something or dropped, and the little battery that's inside here, that little yellow lock that holds it in place, sometimes will disconnect or the battery will lift a bit and the connection won't be good to the battery. So just, you want to check that, just, push it in further until that little yellow clip holds correctly the battery, and that will solve problems where, I know that my battery's charged, I've charged it for the whole night, and my camera does not want to start or turn on. Most of the time, that's why that little clip is not holding perfectly the battery onto the contacts. Once we've done that, you can screw the gooseneck back on to the camera, and the gooseneck will go either on the right or on the left hand side of the stand. So here I'm going to put it on the right, just drop it in here. And what we want to do is that we want to, before I do that, I'm just going to show you the power buttons on the top. So just press the power button to turn on the camera. See, this is what happens. I got a, thought I adjusted correctly, but my battery is not well inserted. And now we got a connection. I have powered up my camera, put it back on my stand, and I will go right here. And then in Prodigy, what you want to do is go into settings. So you're going to scroll to the right and go to the settings menu. In the settings menu, the third option in the list is system. Go into system, Wi-Fi setup, because this camera uses the Wi-Fi. You will have here, again, that pop-up. You do it once, you won't see it again after. Just allow that pop-up. And in the menu, you want to go into, if your Wi-Fi is not on, turn it on. You'll get this menu with 3 options: Wi-Fi on, Wi-Fi networks, or saved networks. So you want to select Wi-Fi networks, and you want to go down the list and find a Wi-Fi connection, and the name will be PixPro-SL10 _, and that after the underscore, that can change for all the cameras. So that's the special characters that identify which camera is used on which Mat Connect. So on my case here, I got PixPro-SL10 _BEB9. I'm going to select that. I'm going to select in the next menu, connect, and then write my password, which I hope you've remembered: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then press a little checkbox. And that's going to connect. If everything works well, that will connect to my camera, and it will show you that the message on the screen, you are now connected. Press OK.
Eric, can I interrupt for just a moment?
Sure.
Okay, so 2 questions pertinent to the camera, since you're doing that right now. One is, Margaret asks, I have a camera that will shut off while in use and is always blinking orange. Can you tell her what blinking orange means?
Blinking orange means that the connection or the battery is low and it should be recharged. The Mat Connect now comes, we've added an external battery pack that you can use while connected. So what you do with the battery pack, connect your USB that came with the camera and connect the other side to the camera, and you'll be able to charge at the same time. Sometimes the orange blinking light means that it lost connection. So I know that, for example, in a situation where there's a lot of interference, the Wi-Fi camera could disconnect from the tablet. And then once you've lost the connection, then the camera turns off and puts and is in sleep mode. So that could be one of the things. So for example, when I'm at CSUN and I'm using the distance camera, this is a big conference hall and there's a lot of interference. Sometimes I will get that kind of situation. I just turn it back on and usually it connects back to my Connect.
Okay. And Mary says her camera won't pair at all. Is there any tricks when you're having difficulty with pairing in general? Just
no. If it's not pairing, that means that either you selected the wrong distance camera, maybe there's two in the room and you're selecting the wrong one, or you've entered a bad password. And again, that's the only two things that could happen when you cannot connect to it. You can, if you want, you can connect it. If it doesn't work through the Prodigy software, you can try it out in the Android system. You can go into the Android part of things, go and select the settings icon, and then select Wi-Fi and go through here. That could be an indicator of what's happening. Sometimes if the connection failed, you will have a different message on this interface, which can tell you and orient you on the right path to choose. If it says that the authentication is wrong, then that means the password is wrong. It can say just a connection failed. What I would recommend from this interface would be to forget the connection and then go back to Prodigy and try it the way that I just showed you. So these are a couple of things that you can try to troubleshoot the distance camera. Are we good?
yes, I think we're good for now.
Okay. Okay, so once I'm paired, you can go back to the main menu, either using the back button on the top left corner of the screen up to the main menu. And then if I scroll to the left, you'll notice that there's a new icon with the distance word underneath that just was added. So a red icon that was added, which is your distance application. So if you tap on that now, it should connect automatically to my distance camera, and it should be ready to use. So my camera's not on. I'm having problems with my battery here. Sorry for that. See, it happens. I know that this is because I got an old camera and my battery is a bit loose in there. So I'm just gonna connect this, turn it back on. And it doesn't want to cooperate with me today. All right. Let me just go back here. Why is it? Okay, so let me find out. I was gonna go find another battery here. Let me see if I can find another battery. Sorry about that, guys. See, it happens to the best. And don't worry, you know, when this happens, oh, I don't have another battery. Great.
Eric, would you like us to to drop our second?
Yeah, we could do
Sure.
that. That's a good idea.
Sure.
All right. So the next poll question is, what is the default password for pairing the distance camera? Is it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, admin, password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or Eric is cool? What's the default password for pairing the distance camera?
I would choose Eric is cool.
I would too.
We do have a question, Eric. I think the first one I can answer. So Ashley asks, so is this an Android tablet or what type of tablet? Can you remind me? So it is an Android-based tablet, Ashley, but then does the device have text-to-speech? And where can you use text-to-speech? So maybe the tablet might use TalkBack if it's Android. Does it OCR? So forth and so on. I was curious because this is a magnifier, but sometimes Asian people need speech because their vision fatigues. So I think the answer to both of those questions is yes, you have text-to-speech availability, and there is OCR, and you can enable text-to-speech after you run OCR on documents as well. But I'm sure Eric might cover a little bit more of that later on in the session.
So yes, it does have text-to-speech, and it is an Android tablet. It's the Android version of the tablet is 6.0. So for those who are techie, and it is the Marshmallow version. And it has TTS for sure. It has also OCR. You can OCR some documents and have it read out loud to the person using it. So I'm very sorry, my camera doesn't seem to want to cooperate with me today, and I'm guessing it's because of my battery.
All right, well, why don't we end the poll? We'll share the results, and then we can move into a couple of questions and move on. So,
Yep.
so the question was, what is the default password for pairing the distance camera? Of course, myself and Eric were voting for Eric is cool, and 72% or 7% of the audience agreed with us. But the answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 was the dominant response. Eric, can you confirm what the answer is?
It is the dominant response. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is the correct answer. So my battery was a bit low. I had difficulty there, but I'm very sorry about those technical difficulties, but I got it working. I have an old camera, which I replaced one of our customers that were having a problem. It could happen. What you can do, like I said, I showed you the clip. If the clip doesn't hold well, you can put a little shim in between the wall of the battery and the wall of the camera and the battery, and it should hold it in place. That's exactly what I just did here. If I just show you just a quick fix here, my clip is not that great, so I just shimmed it with a little piece of paper, and that did the trick. So that's good. You know, when I'm having difficulties, it's good for you because you can see how I troubleshoot. And when you're asking me questions, I try it out myself and try to find the best answers for you to help you out. So that's great. Awesome. I love live webinars. Good. So we got the tablet reset. We've connected to the Wi-Fi. We've paired our distance camera. What is there else to do? There's one more step to do, and that's to install the applications for APH, the APH Toolbox. If I scroll back to the left, to the right, there is an APH Toolbox icon, which you tap on it. Right now, there is no applications that have been listed in the toolbox. So what we want to do is to set up all those applications inside the toolbox. So the first thing that you want to do is go into Android, go into settings in your application list again, and you want to go into apps, and you want to find Prodigy here. I'm going to do this step extra because I've opened up Prodigy already. Once I found Prodigy, I tap on it, go into storage, clear data, say okay, and then go back to my settings menu. Once in my settings menu, you go down into About Tablet. And this you're going to do it once on the, I think it's the bill number. You tap a couple of times. Once you start tapping, you'll see a pop-up saying you are now a developer. So you tap on that bill number option in the About tablet until you see you are now a developer. So by doing that, if I go back into my settings, there's a new option that was added in the menu, which is developer options. I'm going to go there now. And in the list, there is USB debugging. Select that, say OK on the pop-up. And now what you want to do, once that is all done, you want to go to the HumanWare website where I showed you where you can download the procedure, which I'm going to show my screen right now. And the second link in the Mat Connect section of the support on the website is install apps for APH. So if I click on that, there's going to be a Google Drive that's going to open up. There's two files. The first one is APH pre-install application procedure. So that's your procedure to follow in order to install the applications. And the second link is a zip file. So you want to download that. So right click on that file, download. This is going to take a couple of seconds or maybe a minute to do. But it's going to download your zip file, and it contains all the applications that you want to install and that APH recommends to have on the APH in the APH toolbox. And it contains also a script in order to be able to install that automatically for you. When you're waiting for that download, what you want to do is in the box, you will find a USB cable that you can grab. And it's a USB-C cable that you're going to connect one end to your computer that you're using to download your zip file that I'm using right now. So I've connected it to my computer, not on the tablet, but on the computer. And the other end will go to my tablet. So on the tablet, there is on the right-hand side, there is a USB port that you can connect there. If there's a pop-up that shows up, you say, I don't know if you can read that well, but that's the identification of my computer. So I'm just going to say always allow and say OK. So that's not going to pop up next time. So I have connected my USB cable from my computer to my device. And as you can see, I had a pop-up here that showed up with showing the internal storage of my Mat Connect. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag it here for now. And my download was done, as you can see. So I'm going to go and take a look in my downloads folder. So in my downloads folder, you will find, so if I go to download, you will find a zip file, and you want to extract that zip file. So I'm going to right click on that zip file, and I'm going to choose here in the options, extract all. There's going to be a pop-up that's going to appear, and you say extract. This is going to extract my zip in my download folder, and it's going to call the folder that it's going to create. It's going to create install apps for APH. Wow, time flies. It's almost 1 o'clock. Okay, so while this is going to extract here.
Remember, you have until 1:30.
Yes.
And you do have a question, Eric, here that I think you can address right now. Are the steps instructions the same computer if you're using a Mac?
Yes. Yes, as long as you extract the zip file. I'm not sure though if a Mac will run a batch file. Because it's a batch file that needs to be executed. That I'm not sure. I'm not a Mac user, so I'm sorry. And the possibility that a batch file is used on a Mac, I think, is low. So you would need preferably a PC to run the script in order to install the applications.
Okay, and Jana is asking for written instructions. I'll share a link on that.
Yeah, maybe Roger just paste the link of the support page from HumanWare, Matt
Will do.
Connect. Yeah, everything's there in the Google Drive that I just showed here. So you'll have the instructions. There's two files. There's the instructions, and then there's the zip file that right now I am extracting. So maybe while this is extracting, I can maybe show you the how to create a profile. Maybe we can jump to that because I see time is flying, and I'll come back to the APH toolbox. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing the screen for now. I'm gonna wait till this is done. But meanwhile, while this is going on, I'm gonna show you since the last update. And the last update, if I go back to Prodigy, I'll show you the latest version of Prodigy. So right now it's doing the update or checking the Wi-Fi. Okay, why am I not connected? Oh, because I did not remember my password, maybe. Okay. All right, so the reason why I did this again is because I did remember the steps of going to find Prodigy and clearing the data. That's why I did that. I needed to do that for the application install. But so for the latest version of Prodigy, if you go into settings, about menu, you'll see all the versioning of all the applications that Prodigy is using. But the main one here is Prodigy 4.5.1.9516. That's the latest Prodigy. Since that update, we've integrated a new profile settings that you can do now in Android. And to create a profile for your student, you go into Android, and where the time on the top right corner of the screen, just use a drop down there. There is a little icon, a blue icon with a little person in there. So if you tap on that, you'll have the option of adding a new profile. So right now I have one called Eric. This is my account. That I would imagine would be the teachers or the IT department's profile. This is going to be your admin. So the main one right now that we're using is your admin profile, but you want to add one for your user. So if you click on the plus add user, you'll have a pop-up here to, if you want to use here the user. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to work OK. It's going to bring me to my new user. It's going to create that new user for me. And then I just swipe up to unlock. And then here, it's going to ask you a couple of questions in the setup. I'm just going to disconnect here. Just follow the online instructions here. Did it do it? Let's do this again because I was connected to my computer. So I'm going to say, OK, switching to the new user. I'm on the new user, swipe up to go in, select continue, and then the next at the bottom. And it's going to start creating your new profile or your new user on the Matt Connect. And the idea would be to create that user for your student and install Prodigy, pair your distance camera, and upload your applications for the APH Toolbox. And then you're all set for your student. Let me go check here how my extract is doing. Got about 20 seconds from my extract. Okay, so I'm connected to my Wi-Fi. I'm gonna go next. Is there any other questions, Roger, that I can answer?
Not at present. Ashley is asking about covering the features of the OCR text and so forth. I'm going to answer that offline because we're really not going to be getting into that heavily today. So
and we're preparing another webinar. The next one will be on different interfaces, and we'll cover that also in that webinar. But you can also look at the YouTube playlist of APH, and you'll find a lot of webinars that we did already on those features. So my user has been created. I've allowed the pop-ups. I just select allowed, and then it asks me to install Prodigy. I will install Prodigy and will download and install all my Prodigy software. So exactly just as we did previously, those are all the steps that we've done already. We already went through all that. So you should be able to do and install Prodigy in your new user profile. I'm gonna maybe quit this here so that I'm back there.
here's a good one for you, Eric, while you're right there.
Yeah.
If you add a new user, and I'm thinking he means profile, this is Eddie, you will need to set up a Google account for that user, or will you use?
You don't have to. You don't have to. Just right now, I did not set up. I skipped that step to go a bit faster for the webinar. You can skip the step, but the only thing is that if you don't put a Gmail account, that person or that user won't have access to the Play Store. So that's the main thing. But the idea here is to have your student account in one profile and your admin, teacher, IT department admin in the other profile. I'm going to try to quit this to be a bit faster. Can't get out, I have to wait. So let me then jump to my extracted folder. So my zip file has finished, and it created a folder called install apps for APH. If I go and take a look inside that, there's another same type of folder. Tap on that, and this is the list of applications that we need to install. And the two last files one is a text file and the other one is a BAT file. So the text file is really the list of application that needs to be included in the toolbox. So that's going to be a text file that's going to be copied into Prodigy or in the structure of the folder of Prodigy, telling it to go in and include that in the toolbox. And what you want to run, the script, is this batch file. So you just double click on that, and I'm going to do it very quickly. It's going to probably fail, but because I don't have my my Mat Connect on here. But basically, you'll most probably get a window like this here saying, well, this is a script. Are you really sure you want to execute this? You say yes. So what you want to do is more information and then run anyways. And you're going to have a pop-up that's going to look similar to this. It's going to connect to my tablet and then install all the applications. Once it's all installed, it's going to say, well, tap any key to close this screen. Once you tap any key, the black screen will disappear, and you should have all the applications installed on the tablet. So I'm just going to continue here. Not now. So again, you can see that it's all the same steps as what we did previously. And that will go into my launcher for now. Got it. And then I'm just going to show you what it did here. I'm in my new user profile. Now it's not blue anymore, it's red. So I'm in my new profile. If I tap on that, I have two profiles. One is called E, which is my new one that I just created. And the other one is called Eric. So Eric is the admin. So I can switch between the two. I would recommend putting a PIN or a password on the admin profile. And the idea is the student would use his profile, and then once done and you want to reset the tablet, you would switch to your admin profile. And here on the top, again, select the profiles, and there is a more settings. When you're in the admin, there's a lot of glare there. There's a more settings that you can select. And here in this window, there is a little delete icon on the right hand side of that menu to which one you want to delete. So here in this menu, you see that Eric is the owner of the tablet, and the E is a profile that was created, but you have that little trash bin on the other side, on the right hand side, that you can select. Tap on that, it's going to delete automatically that profile. So you don't need to reset the whole tablet in order to be able to create a new profile for a new student. So that it's a lot quicker to reset. You don't have to reset to factory default. You just delete that profile and create a new one for the new student that comes in. And the only thing you need to do is install the Prodigy, just like I just did. Connect your distance camera and install the applications for the APH Toolbox. So let me just go back to that procedure and maybe show you the right messaging that is supposed to show up in that black window that I just showed you. So I'm just going to reconnect my Mat Connect here. And maybe we can, oh, hold on, I'm just going to start this, show you this. And after this, maybe we can start the next poll or the last poll that we have for you. So right now what it did, the black window showed up, and it is installing one application after the other now. So that's the messages that, oh, you're not seeing my screen, right? So I double clicked on my BAT file, and right now the window, the black window that we just saw previously, will have different messaging, but it's basically downloading to my tablet the application and then installing it on the tablet. So there's about there's a dozen or so applications that need to be installed. So that takes a couple of minutes, and once that is all done, the next time you'll launch Prodigy, you will be able to see the list of applications inside the APH Toolbox. And if you want to add to these applications, there is a possibility to add any installed applications that are on the Mat Connect. So maybe we can launch that last question that we have for the attendees.
All right. So yeah, it's a good time to do that. So you can launch that poll. Thank you.
Launched.
All right. True or false? You can add any installed application to the APH Toolbox. True or false? You can add any installed application to the APH Toolbox. And if we have any more questions coming in.
We can go ahead and address this one live as well. The question is, how do you navigate between Android and the carousel interface?
Android and the carousel interface.
Prodigy.
Yeah. So to go, when I'm in Prodigy, just use a 5-finger or 4-finger press and hold, and you'll go back automatically to the Android interface. To come back, either use the icon that is on the desktop or use the home button that's in the bottom of the screen. I hope that answered the question. And I did say I was going to go through the accessibility or how to activate TalkBack. So if you go into your settings menu, No, most probably you'll see only my small screen right now because we're sharing the poll question. Let's end that poll question and move on to talkback.
Okay. So do we answer the question? I had to step away for a second. So I'm not sure. Did you respond with the appropriate response, Eric?
He did not yet. Tell
Okay.
them.
All right. So true or false, you can add any installed application to the APH toolbox. True, 70%, false, 30%. What's the correct answer?
It is true. You can add any install application that comes from the Play Store on the Mat Connect. You can just add it to the list. You can order that list also. And there's, I'm going to refer you to the YouTube playlist on the APH website or YouTube playlist. And go and take a look at the webinars. There's a couple of webinars that we did that I show you how to use the APH toolbox and add some more applications. And what's really, really nice about that is that you don't have to go back into the Android system to go and select or start a third-party application. You can just add any application on that list, and the student or the person using it can start any application from that list, directly from that list. So they don't have to go and use the accessibility in Android. They can just stay in the big interface and specialized interface of Prodigy. So that's an amazing tool, and that can be very, very helpful for users. So I think now I'm back with my webcam. While my applications are being installed, that I'm going to show you afterwards, the list. If I go back to my settings, I'm going to show you how to activate the accessibility features on the Mat Connect. So if you scroll down, there's a section in the settings of Android called System. And in there, there's an option of accessibility. So if I select accessibility, there's all kinds of accessibility options there or features. And again, we do have nice webinars that has been recorded on only that, on how to activate and pause or what features is great to use for low vision. But one of the options or features that I would suggest or recommend to right away activate is the magnification gestures. For low vision, that's great because what's going to happen is that once I tap on it and activate it and go back, what's going to happen is if I triple tap on the screen, it's going to zoom in for me. And to pan, I use 2 fingers on there. And if I want it bigger, then I just zoom in. I use the pinch and zoom to zoom in. So now you can see that my menus inside my Android system are a lot bigger, and I can read it, and I can scroll down my menus and see what my options are. To go out, to zoom out, just triple tap again, and you're back to the normal size of the menu. So to activate TalkBack, it is the first option on the top. So tap on it. And on the right-hand side, there's a toggle button that you just tap on. Once you tap on it, there's going to be a pop-up that's going to tell you, well, this is what's going to happen when you turn on TalkBack. So let me see if I remember this right. There's also a tutorial that you can follow in order to learn TalkBack. And if I remember, yeah. So in TalkBack, when TalkBack is activated to scroll, it's a 2-finger scroll. So you need to use 2 fingers in order to scroll in a menu. Or you can select anything on the screen. There's going to be a highlight on that button. So right now I have highlighted the back button on my status bar at the bottom. Once that's highlighted, and right now my sound is at mute, but if my sound was a bit higher, you would hear what it is. And you double tap to select it. So if I double tap, it's going to activate or do the action of the back button. And again, another option is to swipe from right to left, and it's going to go through all my buttons and all my options that I have, or what's written on the screen. Right now, my sound is muted, but it would pronounce everything that's on the screen. And that's how you would use TalkBack. To pause TalkBack, but not disable it, there is a gesture for it, and that gesture, if I remember, is not that. Let's go back here into my menu. I don't remember my gestures. Oh, is there an L? Okay, I can't remember. I'm not a I'm not a regular user of TalkBack. Paul, do you know how to use TalkBack? Are you proficient in TalkBack?
I am not. I'm an iOS person.
I'm sorry.
And
about
you're doing which one? Maybe I can put a guess.
There's a shortcut. I thought it was like a 7. It's like an L that I had a pop up. Nope. There's different shortcuts, but that's documented also on their Google website. You can take a look at all the gestures that TalkBack offers on the Google website. And there is a gesture that enables you to, there's a pop-up that's going to show, it's a menu, and you can pause your TalkBack. So whenever you don't need TalkBack, you do that gesture and there's a pop-up and you select pause of TalkBack in order to pause TalkBack, because sometimes it influences or it does different behaviors in different applications. So it could be good sometimes just to disable or pause TalkBack. So I'm just going to maybe disable my TalkBack for now here, because I'm not security, accessibility. And I'm just going to finish my steps here in order to install my applications in the toolbox so we can finish correctly that tutorial and maybe show you the TalkBack option in Prodigy. So right now, if I go back to my screen, I have my window here. I have installed all my applications, and at the end here, it says press any key to continue. So when I press any key, that window disappears and I can go back to my Mat Connect and start my Prodigy software. That's what I'm going to do in Prodigy. And remember, we cleared the first step, we cleared the data in Prodigy. So that's what we need to do first. And then it's going to do my update voices, check my license, should be good. And then it should add, if everything went well, it should have added all my applications inside my PH toolbox. There we go. So now we have a list of applications. And let me show you a way of adding an application in this list. What you want to do, let's say I want to add Chrome to this list. You go into the settings menu, which is at the top right corner. There's an icon, tap on that. And you have two options, either choose application or organize applications. I want to choose an application. And there's a list of applications that is going to show up. This list is all the applications that have been installed on the tablet. And as you notice here, I have a couple here that already have checkboxes on the right-hand side. If I tap on one of those, that checkbox is going to disappear, but that checkbox means that those are the applications that have been added to the list. So if I want to choose here Chrome, which is on the screen right now, I tap on Chrome, checkbox is going to appear. And if I go back to my toolbox and scroll up, my first application is Chrome. So I've added actually a new application in my list. So if I want to start Chrome, I don't have to go into the Android system. I just have to go into my PH toolbox, tap on Chrome, and my Chrome will start, and I can start using my Chrome application. If you want to organize your applications, let's say I don't want to have Chrome as the first application, I go again in my settings menu. So on the top right corner, tap on the little icon or the button to go back to my settings menu, and you can choose organize applications. And in here, you can tap on one of the applications. So here I have tapped on the Chrome application. There's a button banner at the bottom that just appeared. Use the plus or the minus button to move up or down the list. So I moved it twice down, so with the minus button. And once I'm ready, I just go back into my application list, and now my Chrome is the third application in my list. So you can organize your most liked application that you want to use very quickly, and that's how you would organize your list and have it customized for you. So that's how you would add any application that is installed on the Mat Connect. So let me get my volume up a bit here. Let me show you how to activate audio in my Prodigy interface. Once you have that, all the menus will be read out loud to you. And I went a bit quick on this, but what you want to do is go into settings in Prodigy, and you go into audio. And then the first option on the top is speech. Right now, speech is turned at off. So select speech. And there's three options. There is off, which is already selected. There is document only. That means it's only going to speak when I have a document that has been scanned and I'm ready to read it and I want to read it out loud. And on, which is going to be reading all my menus, all my buttons, all my OCR on the device. So if I tap on, now everything in my menu will be highlighted. So right now I'm on the speech menu. It's going to read out that speech. What it's going to say speech menu on. If I go down, it's going to read out that line again, and you see that there's a locator, there's a red locator on the icon or the option that you are. To select that, you just have to have that locator at the right place, and you tap anywhere in the screen, it's going to bring you to that menu. In order to go back, and if you don't know where the back button is, what you want to do is a 2-finger press and hold on the screen, and as you saw, navigation on pop-up just showed up, and it's going to read it out loud to you, but it also highlighted in red my back button. So if I tap anything and it also reads it out to me that I'm on top of my back button, I can tap anywhere on the screen and it's going to bring me back to my menu. So each time you want to navigate, it's kind of like a talkback inside Prodigy. So you don't really need to activate talkback from the Android system, but you can just use the speech on feature in Prodigy and stay in Prodigy because everything's there basically. If you go use a third party, then yes, you'll have to use a talkback. But if you don't have to go out into the Android or third party application, this is a good way to navigate with sound or audio. And I recommend, just take a bit of time and go through all the settings that is in Prodigy. And if you have any questions, do ask and try them out. There's no way of breaking Prodigy if you're just trying out all the settings that are inside Prodigy. There's a lot that we offer. That a lot of the tools that we use in Prodigy are not sometimes as accessible in Android. So please try them out and see what works for you or your student. And another thing that I'd like to show is in the user interface. I'm going to turn off my audio for now. In user interface, if you don't like that carousel or your student doesn't like that big icon carousel because it's not as mainstream as the other students in the class, there's different interfaces that you can use. And that's our next tutorial or our next webinar that we're going to show is all the different interface that the Mat Connect offers and that's going to follow your student along through school. But if I go into user interface, select interface, there's a couple here that a couple of interfaces that you can use. So there's an advanced, there's a standard, and there's a basic, all depending on the level of the student that you're teaching or is using the Mat Connect. So I think we went through a big procedure. I know there's a lot of steps. I think it was a bit confusing, but there's no logical way of doing all these steps. I hope it clarified some of the steps in order to be able to reset a tablet and to pass it along to a new student, or maybe just reset the tablet and that's it, and keep it for the next person that's going to be using it. So I hope it clarified a lot. All of what I've just said and showed are in written on the website, the HumanWare support website. You can go and download everything there. This webinar will also be recorded, so you can jump to the features or the steps that you'd like to listen to on this webinar. And there's also other webinars and at other times that we're giving on the same subject. So please go and refer to them. And if anything, you have any questions, please don't be shy and ask support, HumanWare support, or even product manager, or even myself, and it would be a pleasure to answer your questions. Any questions that we have in the chat that I can answer today?
So I just posted up links, Eric, for the documents and files you used today directly to the HumanWare site, a link to the Matt Connect YouTube channel, and a link to the talkback gestures that Jim had shared earlier, as well as the support@HumanWare email address.
Okay.
Why don't we do our discoveries, and then we'll share the closing code, and we can take any additional questions as we head out. So Paul.
All right, thanks, Sully. So as we've discovered today, there are a lot of steps to reset a Matt Connect, but they're really not that difficult to do. They are pretty easy to accomplish. Please don't forget to remove the Gmail account before you reset the Matt Connect, especially if you don't know the password. You absolutely have to do that if you don't know that password. Otherwise, it has to go back to HumanWare. Make sure you create student profiles. It's going to make future management of your Matt Connect a lot easier. You'll be able to just remove profiles when you need to and add new ones, especially if you're going to use that Matt Connect for more than 1 year or with more than one student, or if that's going to change. So, and as you've seen, resources are definitely available for future reference for you. And we have one more slide here, just showing you the Matt Connect one last time. We've put the link up. We can put that link back for you again. It is $2,995 on quota, or not on quota. It is available though with quota funds, and feel free to take a look. And these guys can answer your questions. HumanWare support can answer your questions, and there may be some questions that APH support can answer as well. So there's plenty of resources available to you.
Eric, love the enthusiasm that you always bring to this. I've worked with you for a lot of years, and the thing that I can say absolutely is you care about the teachers and the kids, and it shows in the way in which you present and bring across information. So we are grateful.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's always a pleasure doing these webinars. Like I said at the beginning, I do love the teachers and the students. I strive to bring simplicity in all the technology that is offered to the community or to the education community, and I hope that the earliest that we can introduce those technologies to students, the better it is, and the better off they are and with it. And yeah, thank you very much.
A couple of quick questions if you want, Eric. We have 2 minutes left. Julie King asks, I've been told the Android version is old. Will there be updates?
There will not be any updates on this Android tablet. The reason why is the Android is a bit complicated. There's a big certification process to follow. And in that certification process, there's all kinds of things to respect. So the hardware, there's a lot of things to follow. The software, there's a lot of things to follow. And unfortunately, if the hardware suppliers do not follow and do not upgrade their drivers to the current or the latest Android version, then we cannot do anything. We cannot move forward in a latest build of Android. So unfortunately, for this version of the Matt Connect will not move forward in the Android version.
Okay, and someone, Tonya, says the light is not working on their tablet magnifier. The light shows the light in grayscale.
Mm-hmm. So that could be two things. So let me, can I be pinned again, or how do I do that? To pin my video cam again.
Oh, I need to stop sharing. There we go. Sorry.
Okay, so pin to first screen. There we go. What was I going to do again?
Light is not working on the tablet to the
Yes,
magnifier.
yes. Okay, so this can be two things. Remember, now we just resetted my tablet. So if I undock my tablet from the stand and dock it back, there's going to be a pop-up there that should appear. Yeah, and it did, right? So this is when you reset your tablet. I didn't go through that step, but the first time you're going to undock and redock the tablet, this pop-up will appear. And what you want to do is select use by default for this USB device. You check that little box and then say okay. And again, okay. And once you've done that once, it will never appear again, that pop-up. So if I undock and redock the tablet, that pop-up will not appear again. You have to do that at least once if you resetted the tablet. So now the reason why most probably that the light icon is grayed out, the light icon communicates, or the lights communicate by USB to the lights. So lights to the camera connected, they connect through USB protocols. If that protocol is not well defined, so first of all, by allowing the pop-up and doing the same thing all the time, that could be one thing. But the other thing, it could be that it was not well initiated or started. So what you can do is just undock the tablet. Usually this fixes the problem, undock and redock the tablet and then restart the magnifier. Usually it should fix that problem. If not, what you can try to do is reboot completely your tablet. And then once it is rebooted and back into Prodigy, dock it back on the station. If that fails also, I would suggest to maybe call customer support and they can maybe try to troubleshoot more things with you. But the only thing I would think of, if ever all those steps did not work, there is something physically wrong with the tablet. So either the header on the top, or the header on the tablet, or the header on the stand could be a problem. I hope that helps.
Sounds good. Thank you, Eric. I think we've covered all that we can on today's call.